inability to achieve the satisfaction that you want at the moment, and therefore you're not thoroughly interested or entertained enough, and so your time almost slows down. And what I wanted to talk about in this video because of that is literally the fact that when you get down to it, time is one of those things where literally, think about it. If you are just having too great a time and you have too great a life, you will literally have time fly almost all the time, 24/7, 365. And the problem with that is, despite it being great, a lot of these people, they all of a sudden look back and say, wow, the first 30 years of my life went by very fast. And so because of that human perspective of fast time and that sort of perspective of ongoing events, one could argue that people with almost flawless, satisfied lives where everything just sort of worked out have one disadvantage that they themselves don't realize, which is that time flies for them constantly because they're constantly interested, constantly satisfied, whatever it is, their lifestyle, their income, their relationships with others, the people they want in their lives. If it all comes to them and it's just the free flowing days, and there are people like that literally. The best example I could come up with currently is Olivia Cupo. She was definitely one of those girls who more or less got pretty lucky. She was the Miss Universe winner, I think a year back, and so she just tried out for her state pageant, won that, then obviously had to attend the Miss USA pageant because she won the state, and then she won the Miss USA pageant, and therefore got shuttled off to the Miss Universe pageant and won that as well. And so you could see this sort of cascading effect where she just initially starts something and then it just keeps going, and her beauty just helps her along the way, and she's doing all these great things. Obviously though, again, don't fall under the misconception that everyone's life is perfect, but you can definitely see that certain people can end up having this almost great life where everything almost falls into your lap. Now obviously she's not a perfect example because she went to a university before then and she wasn't famous or achieving anything great, and one could argue she wasn't some amazing supermodel in terms of looks, or at least she didn't appear that. She was probably just an average university student with above average looks, and so one could argue she just had a pretty normal life, and that's how it went. But the point is, that's just one example, and there are people who have very good lives, and that pretty much makes them perceive everything as great and interesting, which makes time fly. Think about those days where literally you just have so much fun, it's entertaining, and you cannot believe how fast the day went by. Versus those moments when you're bored out of your mind, or you have something difficult to achieve, or you're doing a task that you really don't want to do, or you're just sitting in a room or standing somewhere where you really can't find anything that's entertaining, or you're forced to do something that's boring. Time goes really slow, and one could argue that because of that, as the ultimate conclusion, those people who perceive time as longer actually perceive their lives as longer, and in certain ways that could be better, because if time just flies constantly for 30 years, you're gonna look by and go and literally feel like your life was a split second because everything went perfectly. You didn't have those moments when you were bored where time would just slow down and you can take in every second. And obviously being super bored isn't really that interesting, but still those occasional sporadic moments of it can be helpful to just slow things down and taking your life. And one could definitely argue something like maybe meditating, those who meditate for hours, or those who are just doing certain things that just slow things down, end up perceiving life as a lot longer. And that's one way of spinning it or looking at things and realizing, holy crap, that's a small disadvantage or advantage that a lot of people fail to realize. And I think it's definitely true. I don't think I used the best example, but I'll give you another one. Let's use a male this time. He's born in a really rich family. He's never had problems with girls because of his great looks and good natural born social skills and status. From there, he goes to a good school, gets a great job, goes to many parties, everything goes well. And let's just say he goes to an entertaining job that he loves and everything's just perfect for him. And he goes to parties and whatever. 30 He's 30 years old now, and he looks back at his life. Wow, everything just went so fast, because every single day from the moment he woke up to when he went to sleep, it was just entertaining, interesting, constantly. Every day flies by because his perception of every day and time is just very fast, because he's so interested in everything. And because of that, he feels like those 30 years went by in like 30 minutes almost. Versus the person with either tons of obstacles, or the person with sporadic obstacles in his life, but for the most part has a decent life that he enjoys. These people will fall into those lull moments where time just sort of slows, or they're bored to death, or so forth, where they're literally counting the seconds on the clock, and time just slows. And for that reason, they almost feel or perceive time as longer. And when they look back at 30 years, they say stuff like, oh, it was a long time. It was a lot of stuff I had to do. It was a long life. And so that's just one perspective, and who knows if it's really true. It really depends on how people perceive and spin it with their mindsets. Finally, I want to conclude with one thing about Olivia Cupo, and I think it's another thing that's very interesting. If you've seen her interviews and how she talks, it's definitely a way of looking at things that I think she had before she won any pageants. But obviously it was accentuated because of her success, and obviously because of the whole title of Miss Universe. Everyone thinks she's amazingly good looking, and she knows everyone recognizes her for it, so it almost, for lack of a better term, boosts her ego and self-esteem, which accentuates this mindset, which is, and what this mindset is, I feel like it isn't necessarily an arrogant or egotistical mindset, but it's more of this sort of mindset of a very happy satisfaction with life, and nothing or no one can topple it, no matter what they say to you. And that's something that I personally believe, from the interviews I've seen of her, that she had to a certain degree before she entered any pageants, back when she was still a university student. And how do you develop this? Do you have to be rich, famous? No, I doubt she was. She had a healthy lifestyle where everything was satisfied to a degree. She didn't have enormous standards to distort her perspectives or anything crazy, but she sort of just had this lifestyle. One could argue it just came to her, it was served to her on a platter. Maybe not, but I think it's something that one could learn something from. So people out there who whether you're a girl or a guy, one thing that you could potentially do is try and attain that if you don't have it. And although it may have been served to her on a silver platter in her case, maybe you can work to attain it and realize, this girl is just awesome. And slash, or you can literally fake it until you make it and realize, think about it. She may have had a few guys in her life to satisfy that section of her life, dating, and then she had a good, healthy academic life, good healthy relationships with friends and family, and a good income. She enjoyed what she did. That's all you really need. And anything more is frivolous. And some of those things, can in certain cases be frivolous too. So you don't really need that much. Still, it is a certain amount, and that's one piece of advice for those of you guys out there who want to achieve this sort of thing. You want to set those goals and try and get them. That's all I really want to say, and it's food for thought. As always, if you like this video, hit the like, favorite, and subscribe button. It's down below. It'll let you know when my next video is out for free. And as always, if you would like to help, share this video with someone you think would be influenced by or very much like it. And I'll see you in my next video.